Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Hello everyone, welcome to Insight IS Tele. We are very much surprised, very much happy by the performance of most of you in this test series. The most good and most appreciating thing is that most of you are able to incorporate the suggestions or the ideas given in our discussions. Most of you are now able to identify the keywords. Most of you are now able to also eliminate the options and are able to guess or able to mark the correct options. So today again in a new session, this session is related to the Prelims test series number 4, subject being economics. This test series subject was basic concepts of economics, fundamental concepts of economics. This comprised 80 questions from basic economics. Basic means basic definitions, basic concepts, similar things. Remaining 20 are where current affairs, not any random current affairs. Current affairs means current affairs belonging to the period of those days which are mentioned in your detailed schedule. In this session, we will be discussing all these 100 questions. We will be learning some new concepts, new ideas. What are the basic terms, basic concepts are being asked in these questions? We will be going through those. So let's start. First question is regarding classical economic thought. The first statement mentions the term invisible hand. What is invisible hand? I won't go with some long definitions, heavy words. Let me elaborate this with some example. Invisible hand is suppose you want to open a tea stall. आजकल लोगों को कुछ नहीं मिल रहा तो वो चाय बेचना शुरू कर रहे हैं. तो सपोज कीजिए आपने भी you also thought that you should also open a tea stall. Why? Because you want to earn a living. So to earn a living for your own self-interest, you opened a tea stall. But what happens is, who will be your customers? Maybe the students or maybe the office goers. They will be coming at your tea stall. They will be getting freshen up. उनका mood fresh होगा और वो जाएंगे. आपका interest, self motive was to earn livelihood, earn money. Then you will also be buying milk, buying tea from other vendors. You may also need to employ 1 or 2 people to do the work, to serve the tea, to make the tea, or to clean the utensils. So what is happening in all this scenario is you actually started a tea stall with your own self-interest, but unintentionally other stakeholders of the society are also getting benefited. So this invisible hand says, the concept of invisible hand says that individual pursuit of self-interest can lead to public benefit. Yes, if we leave it, if whatever we are doing as per our individual self-interest, unintentionally it will be impacting beneficially to other stakeholders of the public, of the society. So statement 1 is correct. Second statement is about laissez-faire policy. Laissez-faire. It's laissez-faire policy. What is laissez-faire policy? Laissez-faire is actually a French word. Laissez-faire is a French word which means let it be, let do, ऐसे ही जो है ऐसे छोड़ दो. Laissez-faire policy says that government should intervene very minimally. Let the market function on its own. For example, here it is like laissez-faire economics restrict government intervention in the economy. Let the market function by itself, no need of government intervention. Like even if government wants to intervene, the intervention should be the minimal, lowest. ऐसी policy, ऐसी economy, it says laissez-faire policy says कि if government intervention is the minimal, then market will work efficiently by itself. So second statement is laissez-faire policy promotes minimal government interference in the functioning of markets. Both these statements are true. Your correct answer will be option C. Second statement is about government's role in the economy. Government plays no role in resource allocation under a market economy as prices alone ensure efficiency. It is saying no role. It is saying market economy. It is government's role. See, market economy actually tries to ensure that government's intervention, government's role remains low, minimal. But to say that government plays no role, it is not right, not correct. Because there will be circumstances when government will have to play its own role. I will be elaborating in a while. Redistribution, so this first statement is not correct. Redistribution of income by the state often leads to distortion in resource allocation, hence is discouraged in welfare states. No, very clear cut, बहुत straightforward तरीके से, this statement is long, it is a bit lengthy, but if you read it, you will easily identify this statement is not correct, because here it is saying welfare states, here it is saying discouraged state intervention. Second statement is also not correct. Then the third statement, government intervention is justified in cases of externalities and public goods where the market fails to deliver optimal outcomes. Yes, though the government should not intervene in market, but if market fails to deliver optimal outcomes, government intervention is justified. So this statement is correct. So the correct answer will be option A. Now let's elaborate a little bit. I have noted some points for you as well. You can make a note of it regarding the role of government. So role of government is maintaining law and order, like a security guard in your house or in your school. So government maintains law and order. Doesn't matter it is the economy of US, India, China, Japan. Everywhere government ensures that law and order is maintained, irrespective of what kind of economy it is. Government also fixes market problems like a referee. For example, consider Competition Commission of India. It acts as a referee and ensures that market is functioning under proper competition law. Building things everyone needs, public goods, roads, bridges, airports. Who will build? So these are public goods. Everyone needs those. Government's role is also required in building those. Helping the poor by means of subsidies, food grains, that government can do, because private sector won't be providing anything for free, because private sector's motive is to earn profit. Controlling ups and downs, like a stabilizer, ups and downs. Economy is not performing well, then government has to intervene. Government can invest heavily in terms of construction of public infrastructure so that economy can push up. Then pushing growth, likewise pushing growth. Whenever it is required, government can intervene to push growth. So these are the basic, you can say, functions or role of government in a market economy or in an economy. It doesn't matter whether it is market or not. Next question is regarding sectoral classification. Sectoral classification of economy basically comprises three: primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. But there is one more actually, quaternary sector. Quaternary sector is an advanced version of tertiary sector. We will be discussing in a while. A software engineer researching with a multinational company is part of quaternary sector. Quaternary, researching with. It is saying researching with. Research activities, information technology services, high-end services, those come under quaternary sector. So this first statement is correct. Electricity generation is classified under secondary sector. Yes. Electricity generation. Generation means using the raw materials to produce something more useful is classified under secondary sector. Very much true. Electricity distribution falls under tertiary sector. Distribution means it is a kind of service, selling of something intangible. So it is distribution of service. It will come under tertiary sector. This is also correct. Employment share in the primary sector in India remains higher than its GDP. Primary sector means agriculture, mining. Employment share in primary sector in India remains higher than its GDP contribution. Yes, more number of employees, more number of the Indians are working, most of the population is working in the primary sector, but the contribution of primary sector in the GDP is less. So statement 3 is also correct. So correct answer is option D. Next question is, here is like primary sector, a small definition, gets the raw materials from nature. Getting raw material from nature, for example, it could be anything. Agriculture activity is the primary sector. Why so? We are sowing seeds, we are producing wheat, rice. So that is kind of raw material. We cannot have rice or wheat as a unless and until we are like processing it in a proper food, edible item. So it is called primary sector. Even extraction of crude oil, that is also a primary sector because we are extracting natural resource. Then secondary sector is works with raw materials. It works with raw materials and transform them into other products. It works with raw materials and transforms into other more usable products. Tertiary sectors provides different kinds of services, be it banking service, health service, all these will come under tertiary sector. Then this question is about national income aggregates. This question is mentioning actually a couple of very good terms: gross domestic product, negative net factor income from abroad, then it is gross national product, then depreciation and net domestic product. There are 5 terms. Let's understand it this way. Gross domestic product is the total value of everything produced within the borders of the country, as written over here. So what is actually, let's understand it this way. Suppose this is India's borders. Here Maruti is also producing cars and Honda is also producing cars. So whatever the production of Honda and Maruti, all this the production within the boundaries of India, it will be counted as gross domestic product. The term here is domestic. Doesn't matter whether the producer company or person is Indian or foreigner. If it is producing inside India, that means gross domestic product. Then depreciation. Depreciation is loss in the value of a product. For example, consider you bought a car. You bought a car, you spent 10 lakh rupees, you bought a car. The moment you got the car out of the showroom, its value won't remain same as it was 10 lakh. Right? So suppose you bought the car, paid 10 lakh rupees, drove the car out of the showroom, and after 15 minutes you are going back and saying, Bhaiya, I don't want this car, please give me back my 10 lakh rupees. Will the showroom owner do that? No, he won't. Because the moment a product is getting started to be used, the moment you start using a product, its value depreciates. Depreciates means declines. Doesn't matter what is the product, be it machine, tools, anything. The moment you start using it, its value depreciates, declines. Net domestic product, it is also domestic product, but the concept of net says that when we subtract the value of depreciation from the value of GDP, we will get net value. This is the net value subtracting depreciation. Next concept we encountered was net factor income from abroad. It is income earned by Indians abroad. Abroad means outside India, minus subtraction sign, income earned by foreigners in India. Okay, how to understand this? Take the example of Infosys. You know Infosys? Infosys in US, Infosys is a company, Indian company, but it earned from its US business rupees 100 crore. Take the example, another example of Microsoft, a US based company. US based company earned from its Indian business rupees 40 crore. So, what it says, the NFIA says that when we reduce this foreigners' income from India, from this Indians' income from abroad, it will come NFIA. So, 100 minus 40, 60 CR is the NFIA. Okay. Then we have concept gross national product. So here it is national. It was domestic, it is national. National says if you are talking about gross national product in terms of India, for India, it means that whatever Indians are earning, that will call national product. Doesn't matter Indians are earning within India or outside India. Here, domestic product, the boundary concept was important, the concept of boundary, but in national product, the nationality concept is important. So, gross national product. Let's come back to our question. So, a country with high GDP but negative net factor income from abroad will always have a GNP lower than its GDP. Very much true, because if the NFIA is negative, then earnings from abroad is also negative. Then Indian citizens' income is negative, so GNP will remain lower. So this statement is correct. Depreciation increases in an economy without corresponding rise in gross domestic output. NDP will decline. Yes, because NDP is equal to GDP minus depreciation. If depreciation is increasing but GDP is not rising accordingly, then NDP will decline. So both these statements are correct. Answer option C is your correct answer. In the context of economic planning and policy, which of the following best distinguishes economic development and economic growth? Two very good concepts, economic development and economic growth. What is meant by development and what is meant by growth? Development is quality of growth. Growth is quantity. When we say that, suppose for example, take the example that you have your salary is 1000 rupees. Okay, 1000 rupees and you are eating rice, chawal, dal, one curry you are eating. Your income rises to 1500 rupees. So this is called growth because in numeric terms your income increased. This is called growth. But if we talk about development depends whether your quality of life also improved. Here you are eating only rice and dal. Here you added curry as well. Here you are having dry fruits as well. Then your standard of living also increased. So this is the difference between growth and development. Growth is only about quantity and development is about quality. Four statements are given over here. Economic growth focuses on increasing the income of the poor, whereas economic development focuses on increasing national output. National output. Growth, increasing the income of poor. Growth does not only mean that it is only income of poor, it is about only overall growth of the economy, not necessarily of poor. Here it is saying economic development focuses on national output. Actually, it is reversing both these things. National output is the focus of economic growth. So this is not correct. Economic growth is quantitative and value neutral, while economic development is qualitative and value laden. Yes, this is correct. Economic growth is quantitative and value neutral. As we discussed, economic growth is quantitative and development is qualitative. So this is the correct. Question is asking correct. Which of the following distinguishes, best distinguishes? Question is asking which of the following best distinguishes. The option B will be your correct answer. With reference to GDP, GDP does not include unpaid domestic work, even though it adds value to society. Yes, gross domestic product does not include unpaid domestic work because it is unpaid. In GDP, as we just discussed, GDP is only about the final value of the output, and value will be counted whether in terms of the monetary value. So if it is unpaid, so domestic work, whatever work is happening in your house, like household work, your mother is doing, sister is doing, or you yourself is doing, it won't be counted as part of GDP. Even though it is adds value to society, yes. A rise in GDP may coincide with worsening income inequality, yes. A rise in GDP may also lead to worsening income inequality. So, this statement is correct. This statement is correct. GDP as a measure includes the value of illegal economic activities such as black market trade. GDP as a measure includes black market trade. No, black market is not included in GDP. Why? What is black market? Black market is something which is done in cash, अनअकाउंटेड कैश. ऐसे कैश में ऐसा आपने कुछ लेन देन करा जिसका आपने अकाउंट मेंटेन नहीं किया, खाता मेंटेन नहीं किया, वेयर द मनी इज कमिंग एंड वेयर द मनी इज गोइंग, वेयर देयर इज नो ट्रेस. इफ देयर इज नो ट्रेस देन इट वोंट रिफ्लेक्ट इन GDP. So this statement is not correct. Question is how many are correct? Only two. Option B will be your correct answer. With reference to capitalist economy, consider the following statements. Capitalist economy. What is capitalist economy? Profit motive intention is to make as much profit as possible. Prices of goods and services are determined primarily through market forces of demand and supply. Yes, this is a perfect definition of capitalist economy, defined by through market forces. The means of production are largely owned and operated by private individuals. Yes, this is also the another best feature of capitalist economy. Government has no role in resource allocation or regulation under capitalism. See, capitalism is more about leaving the market forces free. In capitalism, market forces determine everything. But to say that government has no role, it will be a bit difficult. It is a wrong statement because governments do possess some kind of very good role, whether it is terms of resource allocation or regulation. So 1 and 2 are correct. Option A is your correct answer. Factors of production. The question regarding factors of production. What are the factors of production? The 4 factors of production. These are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. These are the 4 factors of production. Unlike labor and capital, land as a factor of production is fixed in supply and cannot be increased by human effort. Unlike labor and capital, land as factor of production. Yes, land is fixed. Land is fixed in supply. It cannot increase. It cannot be increased by human effort. Land is fixed. Whatever land is there on earth, that is so fixed. We cannot increase land. Other things we can increase. Labor we can increase. Number of laborers employing in a factory we can increase. But land that is fixed. So statement 1 is correct. Interest is paid on capital primarily to reward the productivity of machinery and tools. See, interest and profit, these are 2 terms. So if we are investing capital, capital means consider it as funds. So if someone is investing some kind of fund, so interest is paid on the capital. That is true. This part is true. But here it is saying it is primarily paid to reward the productivity of machinery and tools. This part is not correct. Interest is not paid to reward productivity of machinery and tools. Interest is paid on capital because if someone is lending money, he or she will be getting interest. But if someone, this machinery and tools, if their productivity is increasing, then the profit will increase. So reward in terms of productivity and machinery will lead to profit. So this statement is not correct. Entrepreneurship is the only factor of production that combines all other factors and bears the risk of loss. Yes, entrepreneurship combines all the other factors and bears the risk of loss. This is correct. Question is asking about not correct. So only one statement was not correct. Option A is your correct answer. Value addition. What is value addition? This question is about value addition in economic activities. So two terms are here, value addition and economic activities. What is value addition? Take another example for value addition. Suppose you got 10 kg of wheat. You have two options. Either you can go to the market and sell the 10 kg of wheat directly. Okay. Second option is you grind it down in a flour and then you go to the market and sell the flour, not the wheat. So what you did, that you added value to the wheat, so that is called value addition. What is called economic activities? Economic activities is any kind of activities where monetary exchange is involved. For example, suppose you gave someone that wheat and you took back 100 rupees in exchange of that wheat. So that will call economic activity. That will come under economic activity. If you did not, if you donated the wheat, it won't come under economic activity. So let's see what are the statements. A farmer sells sugarcane to jaggery maker who then sells the jaggery to a wholesaler. Yes, this is a value addition in economic activity. Let's see what is the question first. Which of the above activities involve value addition as understood in economic terms? Okay. Which of the above is like clear example of value addition? Farmer is selling sugarcane. Sugarcane is a raw material. Jaggery maker, sugar is converted into a jaggery and jaggery is sold to wholesaler. So it is a value addition. A homemaker cooks meals daily for her family using store-bought groceries. So homemaker cooking food. So here it is value addition. So groceries were bought from the shop and your mother or your sister or yourself cooking meal, homemaker is cooking meal from those groceries. So there is a value addition, but there is not an economic activity. Economic activity was only there from like taking groceries from the home. But homemaker cooking food daily, this is not an economic act. This is not a kind of value addition in terms of economic activities. A factory assembles imported electronic parts into smartphones and sells them domestically. Yes. Importing electronic parts, assembling it in a phone and then selling it, the value addition is there. A street vendor buys packaged chips in bulk and resells them without any alteration. So there is no value addition without any alteration. ऐसे ही लिया, purchase कर दिया. Economic activity is involved here, but there is no value addition. So which of the above activities involve value addition as understood in economic terms? So only 1 and 3. 1 and 3, option A will be the correct answer. Then we have next question regarding investment expenditure. Investment expenditure. Investment expenditure contributes to capital formation and adds to the economy's future productive capacity. Yes, investment expenditure. What is investment expenditure? The kind of expenditure which is done by means of investment, so that is investment expenditure. Contributes to capital formation and adds to economy's future productive capacity. Yes, statement 1 is correct. All purchases of machinery by producers are classified as net investment. No, all purchases cannot be classified as net investment, regardless of whether they are used for replacement or expansion. No. If they are used for replacement, then it has to be excluded from the net. So this statement is not correct. A national income accounting investment In national income accounting, investment expenditure is a component of GDP under expenditure method. This is correct. So only 1 and 3 are correct. Consider the following statements with reference to the features of a capitalist economy. In capitalist system, the means of production are largely under private ownership. Very much true. Goods and services are produced primarily for market exchange, not for self-consumption. Yes. मार्केट एक्सचेंज खरीदने बेचने के लिए करते हैं. लेबर इज ट्रीटेड एज अ कमोडिटी दैट इज बॉट एंड सोल्ड इन द मार्केट. यस, दिस इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. The state determines the allocation of resources to ensure equitable distribution. The state determines the allocation of resources. In capitalist economy, a state does not always determine allocation of resources. What is the meaning of allocation of resources? Very often we are encountering this term. Allocation of resources, take this as an example. For example, suppose the government, India is having 100 crores of fund, 1000 of labor and some 10 kgs of rice. Now, how to utilize these resources? These are resources, funds, capital is a resource, labor is a resource, food is a resource, food grain are a resource. So how to utilize this? Allocation of resources means one authority is deciding whether to build a road out of it, like 100 crore rupees you are spending it to build road, utilizing the labor in the building of road, and then you are also like using the food grain rice to feed the laborers. Or you can build a hospital out of that money. So allocation of resources says that how you are allocating your resources for the greater common good. The state determines allocation of resources, but in capitalist economy, as the question it is, a state does not always involve in allocation of resources. A state is actually involved in allocation of resources, but not always. Question is asking, certainly describe. Question is clearly asking, certainly describe the characteristics of capitalist economy. So this is not a certain description of capitalist economy. So 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. Next question is, functioning in which of the following roles are performed by household sector? It supplies factors of production to firms and receives income in return. Correct. It generates final demand for goods and services in the product market. Correct. It directly allocates resources among industries based on profit expectations. Households does not allocate directly. That is the role of the entrepreneurship, the decision maker. So this statement is not correct. It contributes to public finance and capital formation through taxation and savings. Yes. 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Next question is about external sector. Exports lead to an increase in domestic production while imports reduce domestic demand. See, you will have to read the statements very carefully. Statements in the first fit, statements may appear to you correct, but you will have to be very much careful. Imports do not always reduce domestic demand, so this statement is not correct. Exports result in outflow of goods and inflow of foreign exchange. Correct. Outflow of goods. Goods outflow. Goods are going out of the country. Inflow of foreign exchange. We are earning foreign exchange while imports bring in goods and lead to capital formation. Imports bring in goods. That is true. Imports do bring in goods. But do imports always lead to capital formation? Do imports always lead to capital formation? No, it is not true. Always capital formation is not always the objective or always the outcome of import. So this statement is also not correct. Question is asking about not correct option statement. So both option C is the correct answer. Why some resource-rich countries experience low levels of development while some resource-poor countries perform better? ऐसी कंट्रीज जिनके पास बहुत ज़्यादा रिसोर्स है बट स्टिल दे आर पुअर, और ऐसी कंट्रीज जिनके पास ज़्यादा नेचुरल रिसोर्स या ज़्यादा रिसोर्स नहीं है बट दे आर परफॉर्मिंग मच बेटर. क्या रीज़न है इसके पीछे? व्हाट इज़ द रीज़न? Economic prosperity is primarily determined by access to external markets, not internal resources. This is not correct. The presence of large natural resources leads to lower savings in investment rates in an economy. This is also not correct. Efficient allocation, technological use, and institutional quality play a more decisive role in translating resources into income and wealth. Yes, this is the correct answer. A truck purchased by a logistics company to deliver for delivery services is a capital good, while the same truck bought up by a household for personal use is a consumption good. Two very important terms: capital goods, consumption good. Capital good is something which is the good which is used to produce some more goods. Consumption good is like we are using for our own use. So yes, a truck, if the truck is purchased by a logistic company for delivery of services, so this truck is being used to produce more goods and services, generate more services. But the same truck, when a household is using for its personal use, then that is a consumption good. This is correct. A washing machine used in a hotel is classified as a consumption good because it is used regularly. No, a washing machine is used in hotel for business purpose, to earn more money, to generate more services. So it won't be called as consumption good. In this case, washing machine will also be called a capital good. So this statement is not correct. The purpose for which a final good is used determines whether it is consumption or capital good. This statement is the correct differentiation between capital and consumption good. 1 and 3 are correct. Question is correctly distinguishes, so 1 and 3. Option C will be your correct answer. Then we have question number 16. Some activities are given over here. Harvesting of forest timber for sale in the open market. Question is asking which of the above would be classified as primary sector. कौन सी इनमें से प्राइमरी सेक्टर है? हार्वेस्टिंग ऑफ फॉरेस्ट टिम्बर फॉर सेल इन ओपन मार्केट. यस, फॉरेस्ट टिम्बर नेचुरल रिसोर्स, वी आर हार्वेस्टिंग इट. फॉर सेल इज द कीवर्ड, सो इट विल बी काउंटेड एज अ primary sector activity. Extraction of crude oil, yes, this is also primary sector activity. Processing of milk into cheese, so it is processing. मिल्क को चीज में कन्वर्ट कर दिया, वैल्यू एडिशन इज देयर टू मेक इट मोर यूजफुल प्रोडक्ट, सो दिस विल कम अंडर सेकेंडरी, नॉट प्राइमरी. Collection of honey from wild bee colonies by local communities, yes, this is also primary. So 1, 2 and 4, option A is your correct answer. Flow variables are measured over a duration of time, whereas stock variables are measured over a specific point of time. Yes, this is the correct definition of flow and stock variables. Machines used in the process of production are classified as capital goods. Yes, so both these statements are correct. Option C is your answer. Depreciation. We just discussed the concept of depreciation in a very detailed way. Depreciation represents the annual reduction in the value of capital goods due to wear and tear, obsolescence. Yes, annual reduction. Value of goods का अगर reduction है with time due to use is called depreciation. Is deducted from GDP to arrive at NDP, which reflects actual addition of wealth. Yes, both these statements are correct. Correct answer will be option C. Nominal GDP and real GDP. What is nominal GDP and what is real GDP? Understand, this is very, very good concept. These two are very good concepts. Let's understand it. Nominal GDP and real GDP. Take it as, suppose today India is producing 10 kg of rice. 10 kg of rice at price of 10 rupees per kg. So the overall value is rupees 100. Okay. This is in terms of, say for example 2020. In 2020, India produced 10 kg of rice at the rate of 10 rupees per kg. So the total output was rupees 100. In 2025, India is still producing 10 kg of rice, but the price of rice has increased to 15 rupees per kg. So the total output is 150 rupees. So there is an increase of 50 rupees. Can we say that Indian economy has grown? Can we say? So the concept of nominal GDP says that nominal GDP may rise even if there is no actual increase in the production of goods and services in the economy. What is happening here is that the production is remaining same. 10 here also, 10 here also. In both the years, the production remains 10 kg only, but the output is increasing by 50 rupees. So this is an example of nominal GDP because it has risen, but there is no actual increase in the production of goods and services in the economy. So actual production of goods and services, in reality there is no increase. This statement is correct about nominal GDP. Real GDP is a better measure of economic growth because it adjusts for inflation. Inflation का अगर adjustment हमने कर दिया, then we can reach at real GDP. So this statement is also correct. What it means that this 10 rupees has increased to 15 rupees. So there is an inflation. If we can adjust it for inflation, means we can decide that if we can decide this rate not from 2020 or 2025 but from a fixed year or some other year. For example, take that we will decide everything from 2010 or 2011. Suppose the price of rice is being decided from 2011. 2011, for example, consider the price of rice was 9 rupees. So 10 into 9, the outcome is 90 in 2020. In 2025, 10 into 9, outcome is 90. So the real GDP says that it will adjust for inflation. So in real GDP, we can actually find out whether our economy has grown or not. So both these statements are correct. National income accounting. A farmer grows, okay, what is the question here? Which of the following will be treated as economic activities? Economic activities means where there is an exchange of monetary money. Monetary terms में wherever exchange is happening, that activity will be called as economic activity. A farmer grows vegetable for family consumption without selling them. बेच रहा नहीं कहीं वो, तो there is no monetary exchange. So this will not be called an economic activity. A retired engineer writes code for a startup in exchange of for equity, not salary. It's okay. Some kind of monetary exchange is involved. Equity ही ले रहा है अपने काम के बदले. तो this is a economic activity. A full-time monk makes and sells herbal medicines to raise funds. Yes, monetary things are involved. So this is also a economic activity. A school student gives paid tuitions during vacations. Yes, giving paid tuitions. So this is also correct. So 2, 3 and 4. 2, 3 and 4. Option A is your correct answer. Tertiary sector. Activities in tertiary sector always involve tangible output and are excluded from GDP if they do not result in physical output. No. Very generic statement, but it is appearing to as a very genuine statement, but it is not genuine. Not always tangible output. Tangible matlab output things which we can touch and feel physical in physical terms. So activities in the tertiary sector always involve tangible. No. Activities can also be intangible. Intangible means like banking services, education services, right? So these services you cannot feel though the bank infrastructure is there. So this is not correct. A private courier company, a mobile payment platform and a hospital all belong to the tertiary sector. Yes. Growth of the tertiary sector in a developing economy may occur even without proportional growth in the income and productivity. Yes, this is also correct. So 2 and 3 are correct. 2 and 3, option B is your answer. Economic exchange. It removed the need. What is the meaning of economic exchange? Economic exchange, what is the question? Question is, functional shift brought about by use of money in place of barter. Okay. Two terms are coming here, money and barter. What used to be happen during ancient times, let's understand this first. What used to be happen in ancient times, earlier times, is that there was no concept of money. जैसे आज हमारे जेब में 100 का नोट है, 50 का नोट है, आपने कहीं आपकी जेब में है, आपने निकाला और खर्च कर दिया. What used to earlier that there was no such concept of money, currency. So if someone is needing suppose it was a system of barter, as it was written there, barter. So this barter is about exchange in terms of commodities. So consider this ki you are needing 5 kgs of rice, but how to buy rice? You cannot beg for rice. So you will go to the market, you will look for someone if anyone is in need of rice. If anyone is needing 5 kg of rice, and if that person is offering something in return which you can like, you are ready to take, then there can be an exchange of commodities. So they will be called barter. It was a very difficult system because you will have to have someone who is willing to take your rice, and you will have to have someone who is ready to give something which you need. Then only exchange will happen. But when money came, money made it all these exchange activities very easy because everything got a monetary value. So it removed the need for double coincidence of wants. This double coincidence of wants, what I just mentioned, like you want to sell rice, but you will have to accept something in return which you need. So this is double coincidence of wants. Both the parties should be satisfied by what is being offered. So yes, it removed. It is correct. It provided a divisible and durable medium that expanded the scale and reach of market-based trade. Yes, this is also correct. It enabled economic agents to store value and defer purchases, thereby enhancing liquidity and intemporal exchange. Yes, this is also correct. 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Fourth is, it ensured that only tangible goods, not only tangible goods, the use of money allowed for the exchange of intangible goods also. We can get, you can recharge your phone and you can talk to someone else. That is an intangible good. With intrinsic value could be traded in the market. Because of this only word, this statement is not correct. So the correct answer will be option A, 1, 2 and 3. When sellers bring more goods to the market than what buyers are willing to purchase at the current price, usually leads to sellers lowering prices to attract buyers. Okay, this question is about reflect correct how prices adjust. How prices adjust in real world markets. So four statements, four scenarios are given actually. When sellers bring more goods means supply of good is more to the market than what buyers are willing to purchase. Means demand. Willing, demand. So it is supply, it is demand. It is saying when sellers bring more goods means supply is more than demand. Usually leads to seller lowering prices. So if supply is more than the demand, तब तो सामान ऐसे ही धरा रह जाएगा, कोई खरीदने वाला नहीं होगा. Then the sellers will decrease the price to attract buyers. So statement 1 is correct. When buyers demand more than what sellers are offering, means here demand is more than supply. It creates a scarcity that tends to push prices upward. Yes, if supply is less, demand is high, then there will be a scarcity. Statement 2 is correct. If the price of a good remains unchanged despite repeated mismatch between buyer's demand and seller's supply, it indicates fully efficient market. No, this is just a lengthy statement. If you can become a little bit careful, you will identify that this statement does not hold ground. The process of prices adjusting through repeated buyer-seller interactions over time helps in resource allocation without external intervention. Yes, this statement is correct. So correct answer is 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. Next we have question number 24 regarding aggregators. What are aggregators? Let's see. Act as digital platforms that bring together products or services from various sellers and offer them to consumers through a single interface. Yes, this is correct. What are aggregators? Aggregators, take the example of the e-commerce platforms you must be using on a regular basis, very often. So take the example of Amazon, Flipkart. Kya hai Amazon or Flipkart? Amazon, Flipkart, they are actually aggregators. Or you take the example of what is called Uber, Ola, these are cab aggregators. They are actually aggregating. They are bringing up the service providers of the goods, and they are connecting them to the consumers. So they are aggregators. Aggregators eliminate the need for traditional intermediaries like wholesalers or retailers by directly producing goods. Aggregators do not produce goods. Aggregators only act as an intermediary between producers and consumers. They do not produce goods by themselves. So this statement is not correct. Then we have third statement. The business model of aggregators relies on creating value by offering convenience, price comparison and wide choices to consumers. Yes. So how many are correct? Only 2 are correct. Role of government in market. In a market economy, government intervention is justified not only when markets fail, but also when markets succeed in efficiency but fail in equity. Markets are succeeding in efficiency but failing in equity. In that situation, government intervention is justified. Continuous government intervention to manage prices and outputs generally leads to optimal market functioning and reduces the need for self-correction by market forces. This is a lengthy statement. You will have to be very much careful because it will appear to you as true, but actually it is not correct. Because it is saying continuous government intervention. Continuous government intervention, how can you connect it with self-correction? So this statement is not correct. Question is asking about not correct, so only it's two only is the not correct. Seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment in agriculture arises primarily due to the nature of farm operations being concentrated in specific periods of the year. लिमिटेड टाइम, साल के कुछ महीनों में ही रोजगार मिल रहा है, दैट मेक्स इट सीजनल एम्प्लॉयमेंट, हमेशा अवेलेबल नहीं है. Mechanization of agriculture processes can eliminate seasonal unemployment in rural areas by ensuring year-round employment. No, mechanization of agriculture resources may increase the seasonal employment because अभी तक अगर बिना ट्रैक्टर की खेती हो रही है, if the agriculture cultivation is happening without help of tractor, at least there are 10 people employed. But the moment tractor is introduced, 10 people won't be needed, only 2 people will be needed. So this will be a negative impact. So statement 2 is not correct. Then we have, what is the question? Are correct, only one is correct. Two statements. Disguised unemployment is a situation in which a part of the labor force is apparently employed but is actually contributing nothing to total output. Very correct definition of disguised unemployment. Statement 1 is correct. In disguised unemployment, the marginal productivity of some workers is zero. What is the meaning of marginal productivity? Marginal productivity, understand it this way. Suppose there are 5 workers working in an agricultural farm and they are producing 10 kg of wheat. 5 workers, 10 kg of wheat. Consider another farm or consider the same farm. इसमें क्या है? In the different situation, same farm, 2 more people joined. 5 became 7, but the production remains 10 kg of rice only. 2 extra people got added, but the production remains same. So the marginal productivity of these 2 additional people is 0. Because doesn't matter whether we added 2 people or not, our production remains the same. So this is marginal productivity will become 0. In disguised unemployment, the marginal productivity of some workers is 0. Yes. And this statement actually clearly explaining statement 1. So option A will be the correct answer. Next question is developmental goals. Development is a uniform process and people usually agree on what constitutes progress. Development is very subjective. What is, as we discussed a while ago, development is about quality. So what is quality, what is development for me might not be for you. You may consider development as residing in an air-conditioned room. I may consider development as residing near a village area full of greenery. So development is not a uniform process, certainly not a uniform process. People also do not agree very easily what development constitutes. Different individuals and groups may have conflicting ideas of what development means to them. Yes, it is very subjective. A rise in national income always reflects an improvement in the well-being of citizens. No, national income can rise, but their poverty may remain as it is. So this is also not correct. Then we have which of these statements are correct. So 1, 2, only 2 is correct. 1 and 3 are not correct, so only 2 is correct. Only 2 only is the correct. Notions of development. A tribal community resists a government-approved mining project that promises significant GDP growth and foreign investment. So for the government, the mining project is a kind of developmental issue. If you bring mining project, it will lead to GDP growth, it will lead to foreign investment. But tribal communities are resisting this mining project because for tribals, that mining area is their home. So it is a kind of notions of development are different for the government and tribal community. So this is a correct explanation, correct differentiation between about the notion of development. A family relocates to a metro city for better income but ends up living without access to clean air and green spaces. Very much true. मेट्रो सिटी में सेटल तो हो गए फॉर बेटर इनकम, दे आर अर्निंग गुड, their earnings increased, but that environment they are living, that is not good. So it is also correct notion. Then a government expands industrial corridors to create jobs while small farmers demand protection of their land and water resources. Yes, for government, expanding of industrial corridor, government is considering it as a part of development, but farmers are more concerned about their land and water sources. So this is also correct. How many of the above correctly depict the conflicting notions of development? Conflicting notions of development, all three. Option C is your correct answer. Two countries, one highly populous and the other with a much smaller population, report the same level of total national income. One country is highly populous, population एक की बहुत ज़्यादा है, other one is having a smaller population, but their national income is same. In this context, consider the following statements. What is the question? Which one is correct? Okay. So it is like, take it as an example. Suppose one country is India, one country is Japan. India's population 100 people and India's national income is 1000 rupees. Example. Japan, only 50 people and Japan's income is also 1000 rupees. So the national income is same in both the countries, but their population is different. India is having 100, Japan is having 50 people. Let's see the statement. The average income per person is likely to be higher in the less populous country. So what will be the average income here? Very basic math. Divide 1000 by 100, average income will be 10. Divide 1000 by 50, average income will be 20. Right? So the average income in the less populous country is higher than the more populous country. Average income per person is likely to be higher in the less populous country. This is correct. Total national income is not a reliable indicator of standard of living. Yes, total national income is not a reliable indicator of a standard of living when comparing countries of unequal population size. Yes, this statement is also correct. It is not a reliable source because population is differing. A higher population generating the same income indicates greater development due to higher total productivity. This statement is a trap. It is appearing to be very genuine kind of कि population तो ज़्यादा है, same amount generate कर रहे हैं, so there is productivity is higher. This is not correct because same amount to generate 100 rupees, if 100 people are involved or 10 people are involved, and to generate 100 rupees, 5 people are involved. So the productivity will be higher here, not here. So this statement is not correct. Correct statements are only 1 and 2. Use of income as a measure of development. Total national income is a better measure of a country's economic performance than its development status, especially when population sizes differ. Yes, total national income is a better measure of a country's economic performance than its development status. Yes, परफॉर्मेंस को मेजर कर सकते हैं, वी कैन मेजर विद टोटल इनकम कि यस इंडियाज इनकम इज 1000, जापान्स इनकम इज 500, so India's economic performance is much better. But if you take the concept of development, development includes population, well-being of the population. So India's population being much higher than Japan, then 1000 rupees is not sufficient to survive for such a higher population as in India. So yes, this statement is correct because it is talking about performance, not development. Second statement is per capita income helps compare average well-being across countries, but it does not capture income inequality. Yes, per capita income, average well-being we can compare, but income inequality we cannot compare in per capita income because there are chances that the top rung of the people will be earning much more than the lower rung. So this statement is also correct. A country with higher per capita income is always more developed, not necessarily. That higher per capita income country will always be more developed. For example, consider Qatar. Qatar is having very good, very high per capita income. But it is not considered, cannot be always be called developed because there are issues like societal issues, women empowerment, pollution. So not necessarily that a country with higher per capita income is always more developed. So this statement is not correct. Correct answer will be option A. Income as an indicator of development. Consider the following statements which are correct. Okay. Higher personal income always ensures better access to health, education and other services. Higher personal income always ensures. Can you say that if you are earning very high, you can very happily, very easily always access all the best services? Can it be true? Suppose you are earning 1 lakh rupees, but you are residing in a remote village and in the midnight you need a doctor for some health emergency. How can you access the doctor? You will have to wait, you will have to connect. If you are, is there a telephone connectivity not available, and your car is also not working, then you will have to go out, look for some help. So it will take time. So higher personal income does not always ensure better access. The utility of income in improving quality of life depends on the availability and affordability of services in the region. Yes, services are whether available, whether they are affordable. So on these basis, quality of life depends. Development indicators that combine income with health and education outcomes provide a more realistic assessment of well-being than income alone. Yes, this statement is correct. So how many are correct? Only 2 are correct. Two countries have the same average income per person, yet one ranks much higher than the other in the Human Development Index. Human Development Index. Income दोनों की same है, but one is ranking more higher than the other. People in the higher ranked country live longer and have better access to education. Yes. So what is HDI, Human Development Index? So Human Development Index is based on certain parameters that defines or decides that ranks countries as per their level of development. So that HDI includes education. So that's why if some country is having higher HDI, chances are that the people in that country will be having better access to education and also living longer. In the lower ranked country, a large share of income is concentrated in the hands of a few. Yes, lower ranked country, this is correct. The lower ranked country spends less on health and education and more on non-essential services. Yes, this is also correct. The higher ranked country has more forest and mineral wealth per person. This appears to be true, but actually HDI indicators do not include mineral wealth and forests. So that's why this statement is not correct. Only 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Only 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Classification of countries by World Bank. The World Bank uses per capita income. Yes, World Bank uses per capita income as the basis of classifying countries into income groups. All countries with high per capita income are automatically classified. No, not all countries with having high per capita income will be called developed countries. This statement is not correct. Correct answer is option A. Economic growth without considering environmental consequences may lead to higher income in the short run but lower quality of life in the long run. Correct statement. The idea of sustainable development emphasizes that meeting the needs of the present should not compromise the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Correct. Development projects that displace local communities or destroy natural ecosystem may contribute to economic growth but not to sustainable development. All the three statements are correct. Question is asking about not correct statement, so option D will be your correct answer. Despite the claim that India produces enough food, okay, unequal access to food due to poverty and lack of purchasing power prevents many from meeting nutritional needs. Here, affordability and accessibility is a big issue. The absence of adequate buffer stock. There is not absence of buffer stock. We have a very good buffer stock of food grains. So statement 2 is not correct. Food insecurity in India is more a problem of distribution and affordability than of total availability. Yes. So 1 and 3 are correct. 1 and 3 are correct. Consider the following about World Bank and UNDP. Okay. The World Bank classifies countries mainly on the basis of per capita income, while UNDP incorporates education and health indicators. Yes, this is correct. We should discuss about this health and HDI also. UNDP's HDI does not consider income as a component as it focuses purely on no. HDI actually includes income. This statement is not correct. A country may rank high in per capita income according to the World Bank, but still rank lower in HDI due to poor performance in non-economic indicators. Yes, 1 and 3 are correct. So this is the HDI, Human Development Index. Human Development Index has 3 dimensions: long and healthy life, knowledge, a decent standard of living. The indicators for long and healthy life are life expectancy at birth. Then for knowledge, expected years of schooling, mean years of schooling, and a decent standard of living, GNI per capita, gross national income per capita, is actually an indicator included in HDI. India's energy choices. The availability and affordability of clean energy sources are crucial for achieving inclusive and sustainable development goals. Yes, this is correct. Continued dependence on fossil fuels may drive short-term economic growth but can undermine environmental sustainability and human development outcomes. Yes, this is also correct. A complete shift to renewable energy ensures equitable energy access and removes all barriers. See, complete shift to renewable energy will remove all barriers. No, renewable energy sources have been quite expensive, like till very recently. So it is not that it will automatically remove all barriers. So this statement is not correct. Only 1 and 2 are correct. Interdependence of different sectors. The output of the primary sector acts as the raw material input for the secondary sector. Yes, primary sector ka output. For example, we have discussed about wheat. Wheat will be processed to become flour. So that is input of secondary sector. The growth of the tertiary sector depends entirely on the services it provides to the industrial sector, not necessarily. Tertiary sector can also provide services to primary sector. Disruption in any one sector can affect the productivity in other sectors. Correct. 1 and 3. So question is asking about not correct. Only 2 was not correct. Only final goods and services are counted in GDP to avoid double counting. Yes, only final ones are counted, not the intermediate ones. Intermediate goods are excluded because they do not contribute to the value of final output. Intermediate goods are excluded. This is the correct. Intermediate goods are excluded, but it is not because they do not contribute to the value of final output. Intermediate goods actually contribute to the value of output, but they are excluded because of the double counting. So statement 2 is not correct. A good purchased by a firm can never be considered a final good. No, it can be considered a final good as well if it is not used for further production. So this statement is also not correct. Correct answer is, question is asking correct statements, only one is the correct answer. As countries develop, the share of the primary sector in GDP typically declines while that of the tertiary sector rises. Yes, primary sector's share declines and tertiary sectors increases. In developed countries, a majority of the workforce is engaged in the tertiary sector even though they started with agriculture-dominated economies. Correct. Shift from primary to tertiary without proportionate growth in the secondary sector is the most typical pattern observed across all developed countries. A shift from primary and to tertiary sector without proportionate growth in the secondary sector is the most typical pattern. No, it is not the most typical pattern. Without. The typical pattern is from primary to secondary to tertiary. But in case of India, it is like primary to tertiary, skipping the secondary. So it is not the typical pattern. So this statement is not correct. Correct, only 2 are correct. Only 2, 1 and 2, only 2 are correct. Gross value added, GVA and GDP reflects the actual contribution of different sectors to the economy before accounting for taxes and subsidies. Yes, before accounting for. So GVA excludes taxes and subsidies. The government of India now reports sectoral performance based on GVA instead of GDP. Yes, this is also correct. Both 1 and 2 are correct. Again, another question on GVA. So the share of primary sector in GVA has declined. Yes, share of primary sector has declined, considerably reflecting a structural transformation. The tertiary sector has become the dominant contributor to GVA. Yes, surpassing both primary and secondary. Both are correct. Option C will be the correct answer. Rising importance of tertiary sector in India. Growth of income levels has led to higher demand for education, healthcare, tourism related services. Yes, growth of income level has led to higher demand. Expansion in agriculture and industry has increased the need for transport, storage and communication services. Yes, correct. The IT and financial service sectors have attracted global outsourcing. Yes, this is also correct. All the 3 are correct. The primary sector share in India's GVA has declined significantly over the years, but it continues to employ largest proportion of the workforce. So one is talking about share in India's GVA, other is talking about employment. This statement is correct. The tertiary sector contributes the highest share to GVA, but does not absorb a proportionate share of the working population. Yes. Tertiary sector is contributing highest but not absorbing proportionate share of working population. Correct. The mismatch between GVA share and employment share across sectors is an indicator of structural imbalance. This is an indicator of structural imbalance, that though it is tertiary sector is contributing a lot to GVA, but it is not absorbing as corresponding percentage of employment. So this is also correct. Question is talking about Not correct. So none of these statements, because all the three are correct. Employment trends, the slow expansion of the secondary and tertiary sector in terms of employment opportunities has limited the shift of labor from agriculture. The slow expansion, yes, it is expanding very slowly. That's why it is not able to absorb labor from agriculture. The high productivity and wage levels in agriculture. Agriculture does not offer high productivity and wage levels, particularly in India. It is not a strong incentive for workers to stay in the sector. Statement 2 is not correct. Question is asking about not correct statements. So only 2. Option B will be your correct answer. Which of the following factors best explain a large proportion of limited job creation in the manufacturing and formal service sectors? Yes, true. Predominance of informal sector jobs with low entry barriers in agriculture? True. Skill mismatch between the rural workforce and the demands of non-farm employment? This is also correct. Overdependence on small and marginal farming due to land fragmentation? Yes. High capital investment opportunities available in rural agriculture? India's rural agriculture does not having the potential of high capital investment opportunities. Like, it is having investment opportunities there, but this is not the reason for proportion of India's workforce in staying in the primary sector. This statement is not correct. So correct answer will be option A. A family cultivates a small piece of land using 7 members, although the same work can be done efficiently by 4. What is the question? Question is about disguised unemployment. Okay. So the question is, a family cultivates a piece of land using 7 members, although the same work can be done efficiently by 4. Yes. 7 लोग काम कर रहे हैं, but 4 से ही काम हो जाता. This is an example of disguised unemployment. Shifting some family members from agriculture to non-farm jobs does not reduce output, but increases total household income. Yes. The productivity of each additional worker on the farm is equal to or greater than the previous one. Productivity cannot be greater than, equal to or lower than. Then this statement is not correct. A person is unemployed for part of the year due to seasonal nature of farm. This is a kind of unemployment, but this is seasonal employment, not disguised unemployment. So only 2 will be your correct answer. Sector may show rising unemployment figures even if the actual contribution of additional workers to output is negligible. What is the question? Which of the above are correct? So a sector may show rising unemployment figures even if the actual contribution of additional workers to output is negligible. With reference to underemployment. What is underemployment? Sector may show rising unemployment figures even if the actual contribution of additional workers to output is negligible. Yes, underemployment. What is underemployment? Take the example of, for example, consider someone having PhD degree but working as a clerk. So he's underemployed. Someone having software degree, BTech in computer science, but working as a data entry operator in some small company. So that is also kind of underemployment. So a sector may show a rising employment figures, though they are employed. So the employment figures will rise, but the actual contribution to additional workers to output will be negligible. Yes. So this statement is an example of underemployment. Then we have the existence of educated workers in low paying, low skill urban jobs is a manifestation of, yes, This is the example that we just discussed. Underemployment exists only in rural economy. No, it does not only exist in rural economy. It can exist in urban as well. This is not correct. Shifting surplus workers from underemployment to more productive sectors can raise both individual income. Yes, this will obviously will happen. So 1, 2 and 4, correct will be 1, 2 and 4. An economy may experience GDP growth while a significant section of the workforce remain underemployed. Yes, this can happen. Underemployment may coincide with rising per capita income but stagnant human development indicators. Human development indicators will remain stagnant. This is also correct. The persistence of underemployment indicates that the benefits of economic growth may not be equitably distributed across regions and social groups. Yes, all the three are correct. A structural transformation of the economy automatically eliminates, it does not automatically eliminate. By shifting labor from, labors cannot be automatically shifted from primary to tertiary sector or from other sectors. For that proper skilling is required. गांव के किसी मजदूर को एग्रीकल्चर लेबर को you cannot transfer him to some BPO service or some call center or insurance sector. That person will need to be skilled. So it is not automatically. So this is not correct. Correct relationship between underemployment and development 1, 2 and 3. Encouraging community-led deforestation and watershed management. Question is talking about most likely to generate employment. Employment भी generate हो रहा है and development goals भी achieve हो रहे हैं. What are the most probable things? So encouraging community-led deforestation and watershed management projects in rural areas. Yes. Investing in labor-intensive infrastructure project. If we are investing in labor-intensive projects, it will lead to more employment generation. Promoting large-scale mechanization of agriculture. If you are promoting mechanization of agriculture, it will lead to loss of employment. So this is not a correct example. Expanding vocational training. Yes, if you are expanding vocational training, people will get skilled. So correct will be 1, 2 and 4. Then we have sustainable and inclusive urban employment in India. Consider the following as expanding public transport networks and green urban infrastructure can generate jobs while reducing spatial inequality. Yes, this is correct statement. Promoting co-working hubs and digital skilling in tier 2 and tier 3 cities can help decentralize urban employment and reduce pressure on metros. This is also correct. Replacing informal vendors with large, if you replace informal vendors with large retail chains, that will lead to unemployment. So this statement is not correct. Integrating employment schemes with urban local bodies. Yes, this is correct. Help address seasonal joblessness. Yes, this is correct. Offer viable increase in urban employment. Only 3. Option C will be your correct answer. How would reliable irrigation and efficient marketing facilities contribute to both income and employment generation? Reliable irrigation and efficient marketing. It reduces the dependence on monsoons and allows multiple cropping, thereby increasing agricultural productivity and rural labor demand. Yes, this is correct. It improves farmers' bargaining power and reduces post-harvest losses, leading to better price realization and income stability. This is also correct. Yes, it incentivizes private investment in agri inputs and services, creating forward and backward linkages. Yes, this is also correct. Correct is 1, 2 and 3. Organized and unorganized sector. Unorganized sector employs a larger share of India's total workforce but often lacks formal records. Yes. Unlike the organized sector, wages in the unorganized sector are always higher. Wages in organized sector are not always higher. Migration from rural to urban area tends to increase employment. No, migration cannot by itself increase employment. Be very much careful while reading statements. They have to be skilled. So two statements are not correct. So one is not correct, two is not correct. Incentivizes greater private investment. Sorry. One is correct, two is unlike the organized sector, wages in the unorganized sector are always higher. So 2 is not correct. 3, migration from rural to urban areas tends to increase employment in the tends to increase employment in the unorganized sector. So yes, this statement is correct, because if people are not getting properly skilled, so the employment in unorganized sector will increase. So 1 and 3 are correct. So question is asking about not correct. Only 1 is not correct. Agriculture in India is largely considered an unorganized sector activity. Yes, correct. Most agricultural workers do not have fixed employers, work under informal arrangements, and lack social security coverage. These are actually features of unorganized sectors. So, why agriculture is considered an unorganized activity? So, this correctly defines it. So, so the option A will be the correct answer. Next question is 56. Which of the following factors contribute to the high proportion of workers in unorganized sector? What are the factors responsible that unorganized sector has more number of workers? Slower growth of formal sector employment relative to the working age population? Yes. Migration of rural laborers to urban areas without adequate education and skills? Correct. Availability of better wages and social security in the unorganized sector compared to formal jobs? Availability of better wages, unorganized sector में there is not availability of better wages, so this statement is not correct. Inadequate implementation of labor laws? Yes, this is correct. Labor laws implementation is inadequate, weak, so that's why 1, 2 and 4. Vulnerable workers in the unorganized sector. Most workers in the unorganized sector lack access to institutional social security benefits. Yes. Migration, caste and informal employment are key factors contributing to the vulnerability of these workers. Migration, caste, informal employment making them more vulnerable. Which of these statements are question is asking about not correct? So both are correct, so option will be answer D, neither 1 nor 2. Public and private sector. Difference between public and private sector. Public sector is primarily driven by welfare objectives, while the private sector is primarily profit oriented. Accountability of the private sector is mainly to shareholders, while the public sector is accountable to both the government and the public. Private sector enterprises generally operate in areas of natural monopoly, whereas the public sector, no. For competitive markets, private sector is there, not for related to natural monopoly. So statements are correct, only 1 and 2. Next question 59. The government is often required to intervene in the economy despite the presence of an active private sector. Despite an active private sector is involved, government is required to intervene. Certain infrastructure and welfare services involve high upfront cost and uncertain profits, discouraging private investment. This is a correct situation when government can intervene. Private enterprises are more efficient at addressing long-term social equity. No, they are not. This is not always true. Hence need less state regulation, not always true. The government is better positioned to provide goods and services. Yes, this is correct. Market forces alone may fail to provide affordable access to health. Yes, this is also correct. Question is about not correct. Only one statement was not correct. One of the key responsibilities of the public sector is to reduce regional imbalances by investing in economically backward areas. This is correct. Public sector spending is neglected regions can help build basic infrastructure and generate employment where the market fails to reach. In a liberalized economy, the public sector no longer plays a significant role in addressing regional disparities. No, even in liberalized economy like India, government is actually playing a significant role. So this is not correct. Only 1 and 2 are correct. Monopoly. In a monopoly, firms face competition only from close substitutes and not from identical products. Monopoly, this is not correct with respect to monopoly, because in monopoly there is no competition as such. For example, consider that you are in a village where there is only one internet service provider. That internet service provider is asking for 1500 per month, and the service is also not good. But you don't have any other option. You will have to stick to that service provider because you need internet. So in this case, this is not correct. Monopolies may lead to underproduction and higher prices, resulting in loss of consumer welfare. Yes. Barriers to entry are essential for the existence, and yes, this is also correct. 2 and 3 are correct. 2 and 3 are correct. Oligopoly. The actions of one firm can significantly influence the decisions of rival firms. Yes. Product differentiation does not exist. Product differentiation does exist in oligopoly. Take the example of Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Both are serving drinks, but both are offering identical drinks, but there is a differentiation in terms of taste, packaging. So this is not correct in terms of oligopoly. So only 1 is correct. Index numbers are widely used in economics to compare changes in variables like prices and output over time. Index numbers express absolute data in relative terms, allowing meaningful comparisons across time periods and regions. Yes, index number do produce absolute data in relative terms. So this is also correct. So statement 2 is correctly explaining statement 1. So option A will be the answer. The base period in an index number series serves as the standard point of comparison. Yes, the base period. Index numbers show how much the actual value of a variable has changed. It does not show the actual value. In relative terms, it shows and it is not like has changed in absolute terms. It shows in relative terms. So this statement is not correct. So only 1 is the answer. Consumer price CPI measures the average change over time in the prices paid by consumers for a fixed basket of goods and services. An increase in CPI necessarily means that all goods and services in the economy have become more expensive. Not necessarily all goods and services. Even if some goods and services are prices are increasing, then also it will be a CPI increase in CPI. Which of these statements are not correct? So 2 only. Option B is the correct answer. Again, another question on CPI. Food and beverages together account for a larger share of the CPI basket. Food and beverages, larger share of CPI basket than combined weight of housing and fuel. We should be memorizing, actually, we should take note of what is the basket, what are the different products included in the basket of CPI? I have prepared a table, we will discuss in a while. So this statement 1 is actually correct. Food and beverages actually account for a larger share. The miscellaneous category in the CPI basket has a higher weight than fuel and light. This statement is also correct. The weight of each item group in the CPI basket is fixed annually. No, it is not fixed annually. So this statement is not correct. So only 1 and 2 are correct. So this is the consumer price index basket. Food and beverages have the weight of 5.86, housing 10.07, fuel and light 6.84, clothing and footwear, pan, tobacco, etc. and miscellaneous. These are the 6 major groups that are included in consumer price index, and these are their weights, how much percentage they carry weight in CPI. So that question was based on this table. You can make a note of this table. UPSC can ask questions like this. Next question is regarding wholesale price index. The WPI measures price changes at the wholesale level and does not represent the cost of living of any specific consumer group. This statement is correct. Unlike consumer price index, the WPI includes services. WPI does not include services. This statement is not correct. A will be the answer. Manufactured products have highest weight in the WPI basket, and weight of primary articles in the WPI is higher than that of fuel and power. Both these statements are correct. This is also correct. This is also correct. Both are correct. Let's go through the basket. So the basket of wholesale price index comprises basically 3 groups: primary articles, fuel and power, manufactured products. This is the percentage, and this is the number of items included in each and every group. This table could also be very much important. Inflation refers to a persistent increase in the general price level in an economy over time. Inflation refers to the persistent increase in the general price level in an economy over time. Correct statement. Inflation occurs when prices of all commodities in the economy rise continuously for an extended period, not necessarily all commodities. So statement 1 is correct, but 2 is not correct. Option C is the correct answer. Headline inflation reflects total inflation in the economy, including food and fuel prices. Yes, headline inflation, which is always in the headline, it includes fuel and food prices. Headline inflation is generally more volatile than core inflation due to fluctuations. Yes, headline inflation is more prone to fluctuations. Both 1 and 2 are correct. Core inflation is more useful than headline inflation in assessing persistent inflation. Yes, core inflation does not include volatile items like food, fuel and power, food and fuel. So that's why it is more useful than headline inflation. Core inflation captures the price effect of temporary supply side disruptions in essential commodities. Core inflation does not capture supply side disruptions, that is like part of headline. So this is not correct. A high core inflation reading is more likely to prompt, yes, monetary policy response will be more prompt in high core inflation. So 1 and 3 are correct. Now this question is about index of industrial production. Unlike indices such as wholesale price index, the IIP is a measure of quantities produced and not the value of production. Yes, IIP is more focused on quantities, not the value. So this is correct. The current IIP series with base year was introduced to better reflect. Yes, this is also correct. Base year of IIP is also 2011-12. In the IIP, the manufacturing sector carries the highest weight, followed by mining and electricity. We should go with this table. Again, this is regarding index of industrial production, mining, manufacturing and electricity. These are the three sectors included in IIP. Their corresponding weight is this. So manufacturing has the largest weight, then mining, then electricity. So manufacturing, then mining, then electricity. In the IIP, the manufacturing sector carries the highest weight, followed by mining and electricity. So this statement is correct. All the three are correct. Next is 8 core industries. These industries together account for more than 50% of weight. They do not account for more than 50%. They account for nearly, you can say, 40%. So this is not more than 50%. So this statement is not correct. Among the 8 core industries, refinery product has the highest individual weight. Refinery product has highest individual weight. This is correct. The Office of Economic Advisor, yes, this releases monthly core industries data. So 2 and 3 are correct. Here is the weightage of regarding 8 core industries. 8 core industries. Index of 8 core industries. So these are the 8 core industries. Coal, natural gas, crude oil, refinery products, fertilizers, steel, cement, electricity. This is a very favorite topic of UPSC. UPSC keeps asking questions regarding 8 core industries and their weightage in IIP and ICI also. So 8 core industries का weightage IIP में कितना है और ICI में कितना है? Both are two different things. So the question that we just saw was related to weight of 8 core industries in 8 core industries index. So this is very important. Next question is about weightage of 8 core industries in IPI, ECI, in IIP. The combined weight of coal and natural gas is less than that of steel. अभी check कर लेते हैं. Combined of coal and natural gas is less than steel. So 4 to 6, it is 7. Yes, it is less than steel. Then we have cement has a lower weight than electricity but a higher weight than fertilizer. Cement has a lower weight than electricity but higher than fertilizer. Yes, this is also correct. Crude oil carries lower weight than natural gas in the index. Crude oil carries lower weight. No, crude oil is carrying higher weight than natural gas. So crude oil is not carrying lower weight. Crude oil is carrying higher weight. So 1 and 2 are correct. Only 2 are correct. Base year should reflect a period of macroeconomic stability to ensure that comparisons over time are not distorted by temporary shocks or anomalies. Yes. Selecting a distant historical year as the base may undermine the relevance of the index due to structural shifts in the economy. Yes, both these statements are correct. Question is asking about not correct. So option D will be the correct answer. Impacts of high inflation. When inflation becomes significantly high, money may lose its effectiveness as a medium of exchange. Yes, what is inflation and how does it impact value of money? Suppose today you can buy 2 pens in 20 rupees. 20 rupees may you can buy 2 pens. But suppose after some time or after few years you can buy only 1 pen in 20 rupees. So the capacity of money has reduced. Earlier 20 rupees was able to buy 2 pen, now it is able to buy only 1 pen. So price of pen has increased and value of money has decreased. So when inflation becomes high, money may lose its effectiveness as a medium of exchange. Yes, it happened several times in several other countries that inflation has become so much high that the people stopped using their own currency as a medium of exchange. So this statement is correct. In conditions of sustained high inflation, people may prefer to transact using goods, services, or alternative currencies. This happened in the case of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, as African country, actually, because of high inflation, its own currency lost value so much that people started transacting in dollar, American dollar. So option A will be the correct answer. Demand pull inflation occurs when overall demand for goods and services increases faster than economy's ability to supply them. Yes, true. Demand and supply concept. Cost push inflation occurs when prices rise due to an increase in the cost of production, even if demand remains the same. Yes, this is also correct. Not correct. Question is asking about not correct. So D will be the answer. Which of the following measures are most appropriately classified as supply side and or cost side responses to control inflation? Supply side or cost side responses to control inflation? Facilitating the import of goods, yes, which are in short supply, so supply will increase. Providing tax relief through cuts in excise, the cost will reduce. This is also a good step. Offering input subsidies to producers. If you are giving subsidies to producers, the costs will come down. This is also correct. Investing in transport and storage infrastructure, yes, this is good in terms of maintaining proper supply. So all four, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is something, inflation, money losing its value very fast in a very short period of time. Not just by high rate of inflation, but also by the speed. Not only rate, but also speed, both matter in hyperinflation. People may shift away from using domestic currency and prefer foreign currency. Yes, this is correct. It reflects a collapse of monetary discipline and loss of trust in the central bank's ability. Yes, this is also correct. 1, 2, and 3, all three are correct. Reflation refers to a deliberate attempt by the government or central bank to raise the general price level after a period of deflation or economic slowdown. Yes, this is correct. Reflation, stagflation. This is reflation. Very actually direct definition is given over here. So stagflation is the situation in which high inflation persists despite falling economic growth and rising unemployment. So stagflation is rising unemployment and high inflation. This is stagflation. Skewflation is a condition prices of few essential items rise disproportionately. So all the three are correct. All the three are correct. Here onwards we have current affairs related questions. So the reference Organization of Islamic State has over 55 members. So this is a very factual thing that you should remember how many members are there. So it is like actually nearly 57 members are there, most of which are from Asia and Africa. Yes, this is correct. India has never been granted a membership. Yes, this is also correct. The headquarters is not in Abu Dhabi. Headquarters of OIC is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So this is not correct. Only 1 and 2 are correct. India's economic engagement with ASEAN. ASEAN is among India's major trading partners, but the trade balance has remained tilted in favor of ASEAN in recent years. Yes, this is correct. ASEAN India trade in goods and agreement. India is asking to review this because of asymmetrical tariff concessions. So both these statements are correct. Option C is the answer. International Atomic Energy Agency, autonomous under, yes, it is an autonomous international organization under United Nations system. India is a founding member of the IAEA and has voluntarily placed, yes, this statement is also correct. IAEA does not have the authority to enforce sanctions. It cannot enforce sanctions. So only 1 and 2 are correct. Nobel Peace Prize, it is the only Nobel Prize not awarded by a Swedish institution. This is correct. The Nobel Peace Prize permits posthumous award, means if someone has died, even if the announcement has not yet been made and a person dies, then does Nobel Prize can be awarded posthumously? No, this is not correct. Nobel Peace Prize can only be awarded when the person was alive. Like after the announcement of the prize, if the person dies, that's okay. But if the person is not alive, then announcement cannot be made that this person will get the Nobel Peace Prize. So this statement is not correct. Has on occasion been awarded to institutions? Yes, it has been awarded to institutions like OPCW. 1 and 3 are correct. Then central government health scheme administered by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare caters exclusively to serving central government employees. This is not always true. Some senior journalists, some other like this CGHS is about all the 4 pillars of democracy. So like it is not exclusively to serving central government employees. Some senior judges, some senior journalists, they are also covered under it if they fulfill certain criteria. The scheme provides healthcare services in both modern and traditional. Yes, this statement seems correct. This statement is correct. As part of health, yes, this is also correct. Integrating into like digital health records are integrating. Only 2 are correct. Sustainable Development Goals Index, India has entered the top 100 for the first time, ranking 99th. Yes, very recently it happened. The SDG index is released annually by the UNDP in collaboration. World Economic Forum is not associated with SDG index. The index assesses country level progress across. Yes, this statement is correct. So option C will be the answer. 1 and 3. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation functions under Ministry of Civil Aviation. Yes. Has the authority to inspect airlines and initiate actions in case of safety violations. Yes. Both the statements are, but question is talking about not correct. We have to be very much careful. So option D will be the correct answer. Option D will be the correct answer. Then we have Dharti Aba Janjatiya Gram Utkarsh Abhiyan. It is focused initiative launched by Ministry of Tribal Affairs to saturate selected tribal villages with welfare schemes. Yes. The campaign is named in honor of tribal freedom fighter and seeks to strengthen convergence among centered schemes at village level. This is also correct. Question is again asking about not correct. So option D will be the answer. International Space Station is a joint venture. Different countries orbits the Earth at geostationary altitude of ISS orbits at low Earth orbit nearly 400 kilometers above the Earth. This is not correct. Although operated by multiple space agencies, the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs oversees the scientific. No, this is not correct. So only one will be the correct answer. Cloudburst typically involves sudden precipitation of more than 100 millimeter of rainfall within an hour. These are actually the very defining characteristics features of cloudburst. Cloudbursts occur only in hilly and mountainous regions due to orographic uplift. Not only in hilly and mountainous regions, it can happen sometimes in plains as well. So this is not correct. Cloudbursts are often associated with convective clouds and may lead to flash floods. Yes, 1 and 3 are correct. 1 and 3 are correct. Then we have next question on ECI Net. Unified digital platform designed to streamline electoral services for voters, political parties and officials. Yes. It replaces physical documentation entirely. It does not replace physical documentation entirely. The platform brings together multiple existing election related applications. Yes, this is correct. So 1 and 3, option A. Yuri Gagarin, this question is very good for facts in related information. Yuri Gagarin, first human to travel into space. Please do remember the year. Yuri Gagarin was of Russian origin. He was a Russian. Rakesh Sharma was the first Indian citizen to travel into space, but he never visited ISS. Yes, because when Rakesh Sharma visited space, when he traveled into space, ISS was not existent at that time. ISS came very late. Shubhanshu Shukla, very recently, first Indian citizen. It is saying citizen. That's why this statement is correct, because he is the first one to Indian citizen to enter ISS. William Shepard became the first person to command ISS when it was first crewed. So all the 4 are correct. Kiladi archaeological site suggests that urbanization in ancient South India began later than previously. No, earlier than, not later than. Artifacts at Kiladi indicate both regional script usage and cultural links with northern India. Yes, this is correct. So only 2 will be the answer. Mobile phone based voting recently introduced in Bihar extended to all registered voters. As a pilot project, it was extended only to old people, not to all registered voters. The initiative was implemented alongside the regular EVM based. Yes, this is correct. So only 2 is the correct answer. Squid evolution. Squids have a limited fossil record due to their soft-bodied anatomy. Yes, this is correct. Digital fossil mining allows researchers to identify and reconstruct hidden fossil structures. Yes, this is also correct. Both 1 and 2 are correct. Political parties registration. The right to form political parties protected under Article 91C. Yes, we can right to form parties, associations, that is included in covered under Article 19(1). Registration of political party with the Election Commission is governed by RPA Act 1951. Yes, this is also correct. Recognized unregistered political parties are entitled to income tax exemptions. Okay, you will have to be very much careful here, because it is saying recognized unregistered political parties. Actually, it is registered unrecognized. It is saying here recognized unregistered. But actual term is registered unrecognized. So that makes this statement not correct. Only 1 and 2 are correct statements. 3 language policy first recommended by Kothari Commission. Yes, this is correct. Policy 2020 encourages implementation while allowing flexibility in the choice of the languages. Yes, this is also correct. It aims to promote multilingualism. Hindi, English, one regional language. Yes, this is also correct. All the 3 are correct. Sariska Tiger Reserve in India, where wild tigers were successfully reintroduced after local extinction. Yes, this is correct. It is characterized by high altitude alpine meadows and is seasonally dominated by monsoon. No, it is not characterized by high altitude meadows. This statement is not correct. Only 2 is not correct. Next is southwest monsoon typically advances from the south to the north, with Kerala being the first point of onset in early June. Yes. The monsoon reaches northwest India before covering the northeastern. Northwest means the areas around Gujarat, Punjab, and northeastern. So this is saying it reaches northwest before reaching northeastern. So this is not correct. Actually, northeastern India experiences monsoon much earlier than northwest of India. So 1, 2 is not correct. Variations in the monsoon onset over Kerala are closely monitored as they serve as, yes, this statement is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct statements. Tariffs are trade policy tools used by countries to restrict imports by increasing the cost of foreign goods. Yes. Strategic use of tariffs may be aimed at protecting domestic industries facing. Yes, this is like explaining statement 1. So we should understand what is tariffs and trade. So tariffs on trade is like they protect local industries. It has been in news very often these days because of US President Trump's threats regarding tariffs. So the ultimate objective, it is said, that to protect local industries. The countries feel that if the import is freely allowed, that makes their domestic products hard to compete. So to protect the local industries, they make foreign goods costlier so that local products can compete. They can also raise government if tariff is increased, so more revenue will accrue to the government. And they can also act as a pressure tactics like trade war, which the President Trump is doing these days. So, but the downside of this tariff trade is that prices go up for consumers. Like if you are discouraging imports, then it is like for consumers there will be less competition in the market and like prices will go up for consumers. Other countries may retaliate, like China threatened to retaliate, which actually prelude to trade war, and it also may hurt international trade relations. So these are some basic features regarding tariffs on trade. This way we conclude this session, nearly very 100 questions. I hope it was useful. Try to understand, try to revise, make notes of whatever the important points, keywords or concepts we encountered. Very generic keywords we encountered a couple of times. Try to make note of it because those are actually the basic foundational keywords on which UPSC may ask questions. Hope this session was useful. Take care. All the best.